Okay, I think that means we're live. Let's, yep, okay, looks like we're live. You figured I'd know how this stuff works by now. Let me make sure I've got audio. Right quick. Sounds good. Okay, what else? Excellent, excellent, good, good, good. I think we will probably talk about AI at some point today, for better or worse. So I know no one's here yet, but prepare yourself for that. New private window. YouTube. I really need to automate this. This is a mess. Code with Seipert. Okay, try again. There's the live. I just need the chat. Give me the chat. Pop out the chat. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Throw it up here. Make it nice and big for me at some point. Live chat. Get everyone. Cool, cool, cool. Make this bigger. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll give this a shot. Put on some music and then we'll be good to go. I should probably share a link for this. Share link. Discord. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Cool. Let's get started. And by get started, I mean pull up Cider and let's get some music going. I still have a little bit of the sniffles, so my apologies if you're catching the sniffles. What to listen to, what to listen to. Maybe some Radiohead. Ooh, that's loud. Okay, cool. We can work with that. All right. Let me adjust this. Much better. Push this out of the way. Get my coffee on hand. Okay, cool. Yeah, so okay. So far I've got like a Svelte project that I'm working on, and I say I'm working on, to be completely honest, I've got Claude running on some PNPM run checks to help fix some of the type issues that I've got going. So yeah, we might work on that. We might work on a little bit of Dust. I actually, this probably isn't the most interesting thing, but I kind of want to take the time to. Oh no. Oh, not HTTPS, just HTTP. Is it? It's automatically upgrading to HTTPS. Why? Why Firefox? Why? Yeah, that's really annoying. Can I tell it not to do that? Okay. Oops, shoot. Did we crash? No, still running. Hmm. Is it not 4,000? I think I'm running default 4,001. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay. Nice. Connected. Good to go. I think that's the dummy password that I have set up for this test account. Seems like a bug that we should probably fix, right? Auth tokens, initialize with state, connected callback. Okay, yeah, that's a bug. Maybe maybe we start there. Like hitting sign in on the client does not actually sign you in. Well, it does sign you in. It just hangs. So let's pull this. And before I go crazy, let's eval SSH agent and then SSH add. Okay, thank goodness. Let's see. Okay, cool. Sorry, I keep getting pop-ups from YouTube Studio or like toast notification type things. Kind of curious what all that's about. Hey, Flash. Good morning to you as well. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why those notifications are popping up, but seems like they look like they're interactive notifications, like a badge with like a number on it. So it seems like it's telling me like click here to do something, but I'm not seeing anything new. So I don't know. Maybe it was vibe coded. And speaking of terrible accidents like vibe coding, I need to not knock my coffee over. So let's try to not do that. Okay. Great. So we've pulled. Yes, we have pulled. Okay. Make this a little bigger. So this would be lit. So I just want to search grep for sign in. Do. Handle auth mode change. Oh wait, why? Server form. We don't want to change the auth mode. Okay, yeah, perfect. This is what I'm looking for. Handle authenticate. Are they both void promises? Any chance you could make the questions in chat banner at the bottom a wee bit smaller on the vertical plane? Makes the code hard to see on phone. Um, so you just want me to shrink this? Like make the text farther below, like towards the bottom? Sorry, I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. It's early morning here for me, so bear with me. It's also worth mentioning that like the way that I've got this set up right now, this isn't really a banner. It's actually just blank space, like black background, blank space with text over it. So it's not covering up any of the um, editor experience. I can also make the text even bigger. I can go a little bigger before I start to lose my mind. But yeah, hopefully this helps a little bit. Maybe. Hey, good morning, J Jewel 5, J Jewel. Not sure how to pronounce that, but I'm gonna go with J Jewel. Okay, handle register, returns a promise. Yeah, okay, cool. So something like auth promise. And then we can just change this to be return auth promise. And then this becomes auth promise is equal to that. Same thing down here. Okay, cool. Okay, so when we log in or register at this point, I think I just need to do something here where I refresh some state in the app somewhere, and I just don't know which one it is. So I have to figure that out. But that gives me an anchor to come back to. Why did that? I don't know why that went there. That's weird. Okay. Um, authenticate with server. Oh, this is interesting. Successfully connected and authenticated. So we should be dispatching a navigate event. I don't know why that's not working. Or rather, maybe it is working and we have something intercepting the navigate event because the authentication state hasn't propagated yet, which makes more sense to me. Direct music. What NVim plugin shows those fancy to dos in line? Yeah, I get asked every stream about my NeoVim plugin. I just use LazyVim out of the box. I've used a couple extras that are down here that you can install as well. But for the most part, I run basically stock LazyVim. So if you like what you see here, you can back up your current Vim config and try out LazyVim, or you can scavenge the plugin configuration that they have here to see what they're using for all of those things. So for coding, I think there's a to do maybe to do. Um, yeah, maybe to do comments. We can check. In theory, if this is on, then I should just be able to do this. So leader st. Uh, okay, maybe that one's not turned on by default. But yeah, you could look through this. It's a very big distro for Vim. Out of the box, it works really well, and then there's all sorts of extras and stuff that you can turn on as well. And to be honest, I don't use many of them, but if you do, you just lazy extras, and then you have a menu here. Ember, I think not. But yeah, you can see what's enabled, and then it's based off of like what's in your buffer currently. So like I've got Dart enabled, but it's not like active because I'm not working on anything Dart related. So you can kind of see all the stuff that I've got going on there. And then they have extra plugins here as well that you can mess around with too. So if you do AI stuff, you can specifically like GitHub Copilot, you can do that one here. Better yank and paste. I don't find the need for that. This is neat, but also kind of feels like it gets in the way sometimes. But you can increment and decrement numbers, dates, and stuff like that straight from your editor. All sorts of fun stuff. But yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. I tried Vim many times. I used Kickstart for a bit, and it just never really stuck with me. And then I found Lazy Vim, and like that was the one that got Vim in a spot where it was good enough to get started, and then you can customize things as you need. And I did that a little bit, and then I was realizing that honestly, I could just just use stock and I'd be fine. Have I chosen to use Gleam more? Yeah, I have. I've actually can talk a little bit about this. So I have been building a message broker in Gleam. So think like RabbitMQ, Kafka, that type of stuff. The Beam seems like a really excellent platform for that type of application, and I'm coming after RabbitMQ. That's my goal. Maybe we'll talk more about that in a minute, but I do want to fix over here. I do want to fix this login issue, which is a great segue to that question from J. Jewel. What are we currently working on? I am working on Dust. This is a project I have. It's a media server for ebooks. I have just a small bug that I figured we'd fix, which is whenever you hit sign in, it doesn't actually like take you anywhere. It does sign you in, like we can check, and there's an auth token in here that I probably shouldn't show off too much, but you can see that it succeeded. So figuring out why this sign in doesn't work. So giving this another go, and it technically does work in the sense that like if I refresh, it'll take me to the library, and you can see that it did update my route up here. But yeah, so this navigate event is working, which is good to know. But our issue here is that somewhere in our router, maybe. Oh man. We are intercepting that. Actually, it might be easier to search for library. Nice Lua error. Yep, use hash routing. Okay. App header, sidebar main, navigate tos. Yep. Yep. I don't know why that's not working, to be honest. What was the custom event? So yeah, just a navigate event. Okay. Do we previous page, go to, navigate to library? How are these working? Are they not bubbling the event? They're just doing location manipulation. Yep, window location hash. That makes sense. Hey, you could finally catch a stream. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Okay, custom events, connect server page, login form. Render login screen. We have our login form. Really won't take me to definitions. That's fine. This seems promising. Let's just break this out to a new line here. Oh man. And I just want to throw a... No, we need both of those. Interesting dilemma too. I just realized I'm actually connected to the one on my home lab and I'm not running this locally, so probably need to actually do that too. Zig build run. Our Zig build script actually doesn't compile the JavaScript bundle as well, so I will need to do that too. So this might take a second, but good time for coffee. As a random aside, while this is running, I saw someone on X complaining about Zig build times, and I thought to myself, honestly, they don't feel like they're that bad. And I consider Dust to be a medium-sized Zig project. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, environment variable is missing, but I consider Dust to be a medium-sized Zig project, and I'm like, hey, it's not that bad on the build times, but it's yeah, it's a little a little slower than I remembered. We're working with Zig. We are, yeah. So, Dust is the server itself is written in Zig. The stuff that we were working on right this moment is lit web components with TypeScript. But the actual backend, the server component, is written in Zig. It's all available too. I'd strongly recommend checking it out at some point if you want to. Um, GitHub.com/dustbooks/dust server, and make this a little bigger. But yeah, definitely recommend checking it out. The code's pretty clean. There's definitely some stuff, like it's an active project that I am working on, and I've got a couple other people who are contributing, which is really cool. Um, but sorry, that felt weird to say people and then show a bot, but I have had a couple contributions from this individual, which has been really appreciated. But yeah, it's an active project, so like there's stuff that could be cleaned up and whatnot. But it powers. I'll just show you really quick what it actually powers because we can refresh and it should take us in. It powers this. So again, visually, all the UI stuff. This is running in a web browser. This is not WASM. It's not Zig. This is all lit web components. But the server that is powering this, the one that's running on my home lab, is written in Zig, and it takes care of all of the indexing of your file system, given whatever directories you give it. It's all open source. I'm not doing anything weird. I don't want your data. I wouldn't even know what to do with it, to be honest. But it does your indexing of your file system, and then finds all of your PDFs that match the structure mentioned in this blob right here. So you can see, like, if you have comics, you might structure them like this. To be completely honest, I don't have any comics to test this structure with. So I just use books, but using this structure right here where it's books, author, book name, and then the file. So whether it's an EPUB, a PDF, whatever, Mobi, and then the cover. And then what's nice about it is you get this nice index. We keep reading progress. It allows you to click into this and actually read through it. So, maybe you start reading this book on Elixir and how cool, how cool. And then you decide, well, I've read enough for today. I want to make sure that I have time to think about what I've read and internalize my thoughts. So I'll come back tomorrow. So I'll simulate coming back tomorrow by refreshing. Um, and then the key thing here is it picks up right where you left off. And then if we were to go back to all books, you can see that you're 9% complete. Click back in here, picks up right where you left off. So yeah, I think that's really helpful. I've had these books that I purchased from Humble Bundle, and they were in Google Drive, and I just wasn't. I was not reading them because the reader experience in Google Drive just isn't built for that, and I wanted something better, so we built it. But yeah, a fun little project, and the Zig side has been a blast. To be completely honest, Zig's probably not the best tool for this server. I've come to terms with that at this point, but I learned so much Zig while building it and had a blast. And, I think I'm glad I built it in Zig, but if I were to build it again at this point, knowing what I know now and then focusing on like not just learning Zig, but instead actually building something that I really, really want to use, I probably wouldn't pick Zig again. And it's again nothing against Zig. It's just like Zig is a Swiss Army knife of low level programming, but this is a high level application. And I don't know if it makes sense that it was written in Zig. We do get some really cool benefits. It's blazingly fast and has really low memory footprint and all sorts of other fun stuff. But yeah, I feel like I could move faster if the server was maybe written in Go or TypeScript or honestly maybe even Gleam at this point. Okay. Uh, yeah, that makes sense. I also, now that I'm thinking about it, I think we have. Uh, I should have an update for Dust. Oh, that's not the right password, is it? Okay. Yeah, so it might still be booting up. It does take a second. In the main thread, it does index your collection before starting up. It's something I'd like to improve. I want to run it right away, but it doesn't really need to be in the main thread. Actually, might be a fun little project today. Let me go ahead and file an issue on that so I don't forget. I've done the same thing though. I'm rebuilding an app for the third time because I wanted to learn things instead of just build it. Yeah, you and I would get along very well. Um, but okay. But overall, this is a really impressive project. Thank you. Yeah, I my personal belief is that when you start a new project, you should choose one or two things. You should choose to learn something, or you should choose to ship something. And if you happen to do both, that is a very happy coincidence. But if I really needed to ship this project, I wouldn't have chose Zig. If I really needed to ship it, I would have probably done TypeScript because that's what I've been writing for the past 15 years off and on with, other stuff thrown in between. But I don't have any hard requirements on me ever actually shipping it. I would like it, and I'm glad I have it now. But at the time I started it, I was really into Zig, and I would say I still am. But yeah, happy to just have the opportunity to learn something new. You were never tempted to try Zig just because you're already familiar with Rust and the ecosystem is so much more developed. No, yeah, I think that's fair. Rust is they're interesting. Like they have, if you were to Venn diagram them, there's a lot of overlap between the two in terms of like what they do and what they accomplish or what they allow you to accomplish, I should say. And in terms of like projects too, right? Like you wouldn't write an operating system in JavaScript, but Rust and Zig are both options for writing an operating system that I think would both be pretty good. Um, the Rust ecosystem is definitely more developed at this point. My personal opinion is that within a couple years, Zig is going to be a powerhouse of a community and language that will be used all over the place. But that's a couple of years from now, and also who knows what software engineering is even going to look like in a couple of years. To be fair, though, people like you are why these languages take off. There's always has to be people at the beginning that build the ecosystem, so slackers like me can come along later. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I will be completely honest in saying that like part of the reason I chose Dust or Zig for Dust was we have several really big Zig projects and a plethora of tiny Zig projects, but we didn't really have anything that like felt like it was in the middle. So you had to either deep dive into something like Tiger Beetle or Bun or Ghosty to like really see what a big Zig project looks like. But the gap between small little Zig library to big Zig project was very big. So I was like, what what would be a good fit for something that we could build in the Zig ecosystem that would show off like a medium-sized project. And this is what, like, I've got a list of projects that one day I just want to do, and this is the one that felt like the best fit, so I figured we'd try that. Let me file this bug report before I forget. I'm already starting to forget what the issue is. First boot of server takes a moment on large libraries. The server mounting route handlers and listening for network requests is blocked by the main thread indexing the library on boot. We should probably do that in another thread. As the maintainer, can I not fill these out? What did you expect to happen? App registers route handlers very quickly. Library is indexed in main thread, and route handlers are not bound until after. This is most noticeable with a big library. Let's try that. I do have to fill it out. I don't even get lead maintainer privileges to skip this. Have many files in your library path. Boot up Dust. Quickly try to log in or make a request. Okay. On that note, though, we should be back up, right? So if I... No? Did we break something? Oh, no. Exited? What's the journal CTL command? Grep journal CTL. Yeah, we'll just steal one of these. Unsupported relocation. I don't know what this is. Let's take a look. Oh, not that. All right, Google. What's your AI overview say? Linked incorrectly with a main program, often due to a mismatch in the application binary interface or toolchain versions. Okay. Shared library is compiled without the necessary position independent code flag, which is required for shared libraries. Really? How have I not run into this before? Is there more here that I'm missing, or is it all just unsupported relocation? It does look like it's all just unsupported relocation. Interesting. How in the world did anything change here? Okay. All client source should be good. Should be good. Okay. Yep, new migration. Looks good. Yep. Huh. Yeah, what in the world? Looks quite unhappy with that, doesn't it? Okay. Systemctl stop dust server. Let's just stop that so it stops trying to reboot. Opt dust server. Okay. Scheduled restart job, restart counters at 88. Probably should change that too, so it's not restarting so much. Okay. Dead. JWC secret, I think. Yeah, JWT secrets required, dusters are required. Okay, JWT secret will be secret 123 just for testing. Dusters. Yeah. Really? Okay. And then this is at opt dust dust server. Symbol not found. Really? I need to. It's a little more involved than that, isn't it? I need to make sure that it's linked. Scripts. Okay, LD library path. Okay, cool. Yeah, that is the issue. Unsupported relocation type 257 and 1027. Wow, those came in hot. Let's try this again. Okay. Oh, capital term. Okay. Okay. Oh, those are errors. What's the Unix pipe error to file? 2. Okay. Yeah, I do need to redirect the errors. Let's give that a shot. Okay, yeah, it just immediately jumps into error relocating. 139,000 lines. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, that's really not helpful. Let's see. Maybe error relocating. So there were 2 different types, right? There's the 1027 and then the 5 something 502 maybe. Compiled on one system architecture, then run on another incompatible system or architecture. Uh Just arrived here, but is this a fresh start DB or are you running migrations? I am running migrations. Well, hang on. I'm really glad you said that. I should be running migrations. But I know we did have some changes come into the way our DBs are determined. Read write paths install. Dust media path. Yep. Install directory data. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. Let me check something. We had a set of changes come in that default to a DB based off the port name, I think. If you don't have a DB environment set. Yep, okay. Database URL handling. This might be it. Database URL. I'm 99% sure I'm not using a database URL. So let's just try to set one really quick. So export database URL opt. Probably actually type this correctly. Opt dust data dust db. Okay. Yeah, same thing. Bummer. Okay. It is database URL. Default to file dustdb. Okay. Still the same issue. Interesting. Produced block result via break. 2+ servers sharing the same DB. I'm very curious if this is actually a scenario that will exist, but okay. System CTL edit environment. System CTL edit. That makes sense. Okay. Oh no, not nano, please. For the love of God, how do I get out of this? Exit. No. Editor vim, maybe? System CTL edit vim. Yes, please. I've been here before. System D editor. Okay. That's still nano. Did I not type this right? Export system D editor. You can configure your default editor in your terminal in Z shell. Yeah, so do I need both? No, still nano. Oh my goodness. It's the sudo user is getting a different environment set. Is it sudo E? No. Sudo inherit environment. Big E. Okay. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, cool. Um, so we have an environment file. Okay, so let's just take a look at that env. So opt dust env, them opt dust .env. Try that again. Oh my gosh, you have my JWT secret. I'm gonna have to change that. That's okay, I can do that. Oh yeah, database URL. So it is set. So it is set to the appropriate file. What in the world could be causing this? It does say, like, searching this error, the relocation type, it does say that it was compiled on a different machine type. Um, but I don't think that's correct. I don't know how that would be correct unless something changed somehow with uh, our either our install script or our build system, which I don't think either has changed. Yep, Linux x86. Not much has changed there. Am I vendoring libsql? It's sort of, yeah, it is it's right here. So our shared object is, like, I guess it is vendored is the appropriate term, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, no, it's not the appropriate term. It would be just using the release binaries. So what have I broken? This looks like what I would expect. Very curious what version we were on before. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Ooh, that's bright. My apologies. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it should be related here. You've never used a libsql driver in Zig. What library are you using for that? It's not Carl Seguin's. I probably should have just used it, to be honest, but I've got this Vrishman Zig SQLite. It's a good question, though. Maybe we check this and make sure. Well, we are pinned to a specific version, so I don't think anything would have changed there. As a random aside, maybe we should migrate to Carl Seguin's, just given this. I'm gonna file an issue for that too before I forget. Uh, okay. Okay. Does the driver support the latest release binaries you're using? What were you doing when this suddenly started happening? Maybe you can create a new POC project just to test some assumptions, like a small main.zig script that uses those binaries with the driver. Yeah, I mean, maybe one thing that would be helpful too, right, is we can also, like, we can just run this locally. Like, I think I'm just missing my JWT secret. So if I set secret 123 and then give this a zig build run successfully when it, oh, I should fix that. Um, Run successfully locally with the migration being applied. So, and it did create that new database. Um, This is okay. That's helpful though, right? Because like this is our first info message, and we had nothing show up in our log here, which means we're not even like we're the error is lower than actually starting our application. So I do think it is related to a link or compiler issue, as in like we compiled for something and pulled something else, but I don't know what that would have been. Um, oh my goodness, this was a while back, wasn't it? Show me our update script. Yeah, this one. Okay. Linux x86 64. Yep, that makes sense. I'm just going to reinstall it just to make sure that everything works. And I'm actually going to read the logs this time instead of just assuming that everything worked fine. Okay, that does seem promising. But that's where we were before, too. Yeah, exited. And probably with a bunch of restarts going. Hey, how are you today? Do you have any tips for manual memory management coming from the web world? Yeah, the one honestly, just one big tip that I feel is more important than anything else. Every allocation needs a matching deallocation. So write your code in a way where it's obvious where something is allocated and where something is deallocated. Defer really helps a lot in Zig. So if you allocate memory, defer freeing it in that scope as long as you can. And if you find yourself allocating memory inside of a scope and then returning it um, to a higher scope and then deallocating it later, you might want to think about, instead of allocating that memory in that lower scope, allocating it or getting a reference to a pointer in the parent scope, and then passing a pointer and then allowing the allocation to modify that pointer. That way, just like the ownership of the memory that you've allocated stays in. It's very obvious to follow who owns that memory, because as soon as you start to have questions as to who owns it, you run into the question of who should free it, and then you get into really weird problems. Practice a lot too. Zig's really great. Modern computers are really great. If you memory leak, like, it's not the end of the world. Your operating system's gonna clean up that memory when the process exits. So it's really great for just like trying things out without worrying about putting your computer in a really terrible state. Zig's debug allocator is really, really great at telling you where you're leaking. I'm sure I have an example somewhere of something leaking that is, yeah, right here, actually, right? Yeah, this one. This is output from the debug allocator telling me that I had a memory leak. So, actually, a seg fault, which is arguably even worse. So, I'll need to fix that. How can I actually know if I should allocate memory or not? Yeah, I guess that's fair, right? So if you're coming from the web world and JavaScript, you just work with objects, and JavaScript takes care of putting them on the heap or the stack for you. And you might not have to think about that too much. So the short and sweet is that if you don't know the size of the uh, item at compile time, you're going to have to allocate it on a heap. So, for an example, if you know you have a list of 5 files that can be allocated on the stack, and you don't actually have to do an allocation, but if you know you need to walk the file system and collect n number of files, those are like n is variable in that case, so you'll have to do a heap based allocation. So you'll use something like an array list, or the other option is you stack allocate a very, very big array that is guaranteed to be bigger than n, and you just add everything to that stack based array. Just keep in mind that, like, when something goes out of scope on the stack, it gets freed up. So yeah, how do I know if I should actually allocate memory or not? I hope that's helpful. If something needs to live around for a long time, and you like pass a reference around, so like a pointer, that's an allocation. That's a sign that you would need to allocate as well. Um, yeah, I feel like those aren't maybe the best answers, but hopefully that helps. Depends on the lifetime of the object, also in the sense that you may not want to pre-create all the objects that you may need at the main function and then pass that into nesting functions. Yeah, that totally is an option too. And if you're looking at Zig, Oxanu, um, I have a course that is a couple hours long, and it's building a Space Invaders game in Zig. Uh, I think, you know what. Yeah, you build this in a couple hours. Um, Interestingly enough, there's zero allocation. Well, I shouldn't say zero allocations. There's zero heap-based allocations that are done in building this. That whole course, it's free. It's on YouTube. It's also on courses.bradseipert.com. You can pick and choose however you'd want to approach it. If you do, and there's no obligation to go through that course, but it would give you some basics with Zig. But it also shows you what you can do and kind of how to approach some of these things without actually doing any heap based allocations. That wasn't the intent when I built the course. In fact, the plan was to show off Zig, and I feel like showing off Zig without heap allocations is kind of odd. So I have one more bonus lesson that I'd like to do. Actually, two more. One of which is high scores and reading those from a file, reading and writing those to a file, which will require some form of allocation. Or, well, you probably could get around it too, but it will probably do an allocation. I know it can be another layer, but it is very powerful even for a small VPS for hobby projects with Docker Compose for different services. Um, are you suggesting having a Docker Compose file for running this stuff? Because it's I gotcha. It's just I'm not using it, and to be completely honest, it might be a little out of date, but it is something I do plan to support. Also, my music stopped. Um, Probably not this one. We'll just do karaoke. How about that? Okay. Oh, heck yeah. I'll try not to sing. Yeah, of course. I'm happy to answer any questions I can. I know that wasn't maybe the clearest answer, which maybe means I should think more about that myself to make sure that I really understand how to explain it. But hopefully it is helpful. Um, there are ways around allocating, but the short and sweet is if you're working with something dynamic where you don't know the size at compile time, it probably needs to be allocated. Okay, we tangented really hard. Where were we? Oh yeah, this thing's crashing. um, uh, why? Why is it crashing? Check your system architecture, download the latest Dust server binary, install it to opt Dust, set up systemd service, configure the environment. This doesn't manage libsql, does it? I actually... Oh, I don't mention this anywhere. I'm shocked. Someone has this running, and I'm shocked that they debug the fact that I don't tell them that they need libsql. I just don't know. I'm truly at a loss with this one. I might table this and come back, to be honest. Yeah, in theory, if you can make it work on your local Docker instances, it should work on your VPS also. That's a great benefit for reproducibility, except yeah, that's actually a really good point. Um, oh, wrong. Okay. Okay. Start request repeated too quickly. Okay. Okay. Ugh. It's fine. We'll deal with the Docker stuff later. Let's tackle something and actually have a moment of productivity. So I've got this main.sig, whatever database. Okay. Yeah, this background timer manager. This isn't very obvious either. But when we create this background timer manager, what we're doing is essentially setting up our timers for scanning library directories and cleaning up old books. We also kick off this initial scan right away. Yeah, I actually have a to do for this too, so let's definitely fix it. But I think what we probably want to do is still kick off the scan libraries, but run it right away. So I think maybe our simplest solution will be to modify this register timer to take in an optional that is if it should start right away. Function context interval cleanup. Yep. So we can do like a run once. And then let's hop back over here to references and just go ahead and update this. So this one runs once. This one does not. I already don't like the name run once because that implies that it is only going to run once. So this will be run at start first task immediately. Okay. We have our mutexes, we have our tasks, we create our task, we append it, we have our task loop. We append. Sorry to bother you, but since I've only seen some of your YouTube videos, what is this project about? What's the goal for today? To be okay, there's two questions there. The second question is I don't really know what the goal is for today. I have like several projects that I would like to get a little bit of work done on. So I figured I would stream what I'm doing and we could just chat about it and build stuff together. What this project is, I feel like we might have joined after we talked about this a little bit, but um so it is a personal media server um, that the more I click through this, the more broken it's going to be because it's not running right now. But I run this on my home lab, and it's this. This is it. This is the whole thing. So there's a Zig server that powers all of the server side components, and then there's a lit TypeScript web component front end that is what you see here, and it's an e-reader experience that works well on mobile, desktop, and tracks your progress across it. It it's kind of like Plex, but for ebooks. And I hesitate to say Plex because they have some centralized components, like their user manager, and you pay them money to use their product and things of that nature. This is all free and open source. There's no centralized user server. There, I don't want your data. I don't know what I would do with it. So yeah, that's the project. So it's something that I've wanted for a really long time, and there is oh shoot. What is the name of that alternative? Um, open source media library books. It's written in C. It is I cannot think of the name of it. Plex for ebooks. There's also Jellyfin, which seems nice too. Interesting. I do not remember the name of that project, but it was written in C and it looked really neat. But it was a desktop application. Oh, was it Kavita? No, but this looks neat. How have I not found this? Huh, that's cool. More competition that I did not know that I had. I do not remember the name of it, but yeah, it was something written in C. It was neat. Um, are you using libsql for the vector types embeddings to allow? Nope, no, I'm not. Right now, I'm not doing any embeddings or anything similar. It's just indexing that content, so I don't have to crawl the file system every time. It's essentially just an index for the actual stuff in the file system, and then a home for like your reading stats and your progress and things of that nature. But yeah, no embeddings or anything like that. Okay, so start first task immediately. I don't know if we'll be able to do it that simply, right? So it spawns the task loop. Locks the mutex. And then sleeps. So we get our task, check the elapsed time from the last run to now. And if it is less than the, okay, we can kind of sort of cheese this maybe. So we could just do something like if start first task immediately, else standard time milli timestamp, and then this will be minus interval ms, so that this should start right away. Oh, sorry about that. Really sorry to cough in your ear. Diagnostics. Oh, sure. Yep. I think that should take care of it. No, I don't. I mean, I don't mind repeating myself. I know that with streams, people drop in and out all throughout the time, so I definitely do not mind at all. I was just trying to remember if we covered that previously, and I'm pretty sure we did. Okay, so in theory, I can remove this, and it should. We should be able to come here. Is it temp? It is temp. Okay. Export dust dirs. Temp books. And then zig build run. Oh, yep. Okay. Makes sense. Source timer. We should just need to cast this, right? It has U64 int cast. Converts an integer to an integer while keeping the same numerical value. The return type is inferred, is the inferred result type, attempting to convert a number which is out of range. Okay. I feel like based off the docs, intcast should cover it. Intcast must have a known result type. Okay, cool. As I64. Okay. Please. Give that a go. Curious with what it seems to be an already some medium-sized Zig project. What do you feel so far about the experience? I use Zig for small stuff only. Hey, cool. That ran right away. Perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to see. We should clean that up too, but we'll do a separate pull request for that, or a separate commit. Git add source. Git add source. Feat background jobs. Don't block route listening based on first library scan. Nice and easy. Okay. Sorry. What do you feel about so far about the experience? I use Zig for small stuff only. It's been good. I picked Zig so I had an opportunity to build something and learn Zig. I wanted to build a bigger project than just some of the smaller stuff that I've been doing. Uh, Sometimes the things you have to think about when writing Zig are just not problems I want to think about when building this project. And I think that is a sign that this project is a high level project and I'm using a very low level language to build it. Um, we get some benefits for that. Like I've mentioned this previously, but we get really great speed and really great memory consumption. It's a very performant little tool, but um, I have to move slower than I would if I were writing the server in like Go, because I have to think about those things and I run into issues and I have to fix those issues too. Um, Interestingly enough, it is better with memory consumption than Go would be. I would assume. I haven't profiled that, but I feel very confident that it's better than like Ruby or Python or probably even JavaScript. Um, but the point being there, if I screw up, it becomes way worse with memory consumption. So it has the opportunity to be very performant, but it also has the opportunity to be very, very ill performant if I were to, screw something up with regards to memory management. So, yeah, um, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I chose Zig. It's been a fantastic opportunity to learn, and I think having more medium sized projects are good for the Zig community as well. But yeah, if I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't choose Zig. I probably would choose something different. Just knowing that like this is a project that I really want to have now. I don't want to just build it. I want to have it. Like I use this when I read, and I want to make sure it's something that I can continue to use. And I didn't know if it would get to that point, and now that it has, I'm like, well, maybe I should have chose something different, but I'm not going to rewrite it at this point, and I'll just keep pushing through and keep learning more Zig. How do you organize the API endpoints in Zig? Not. I don't have a great answer for you, to be honest. We can take a look. Um, but I've got a server struct right here, and when we init this, it's got some things that get added. There's this context pointer That is our server context that gets passed around pretty crazily, pretty heavily. And then I'm using an HTTPZ server here that I'm initializing, and then that's getting returned here as well. And then somewhere, somehow, I have these routes, and I'm just trying to remember where they're at. Yeah, right down here. So I do have this setup routes that takes in the Dust server object, sets up some middleware for cores, um, ultimately wraps the HTTPZ router, and then sets up all these route endpoints like this. You can see that there's some inconsistencies with the patterns here. So some of these are pointing to like namespaced functions like user routes logout, and then this one's just in this function. Small things that probably should be standardized at some point, but ultimately it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, this is basically it. You trade speed for control, which in sense brings more. Yeah, I mean, it definitely does bring more responsibility too. That's a good way to look at it. I would like to write a big project with Zig. I have some ideas, but I'm waiting on upcoming versions of the language like async await, IO. That yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I have been if O16 came faster, I probably wouldn't have been writing as much Gleam as I have. Um, but yeah, it hasn't came out fast enough for me to build the things that I want to build. So I've been exploring other languages and just playing around with them too. And I really found Gleam and really like Gleam. And yeah, I think that some of the async stuff I'm really excited for, but I'm also a little nervous. We'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, I should close that issue while I'm thinking about it since we fixed it. And this should be 090. Yeah, perfect. Um, although it probably should have been a fix, not a feat, but released in 090. Let's see. That looks pretty good. You can get a high level view of what the endpoints are available. Thanks. Yeah. I think just generally that like level of functionality should be available in most languages too. I've done similar in JavaScript. I've done similar in Python. I've done similar in I guess Go as well. So it's just kind of a pattern that I tend to lean on is just a big route list. Have you ever tried Rust? What are your thoughts? If so, I have. I tried Rust a long time ago, and I was so in 2016. I was really excited about it, and I built some stuff on Rocket. I don't even know if Rocket's still around. Yeah, it is. I built some stuff on Rocket, and I liked it, but I had taken an API that I had written in Clojure, and I was converting it to Rust, and it started fine, and then I started to get into some complexities, and those complexities really were a struggle for me, and most of it was related to lifetimes. Excuse me, if not all of it. Um, oh wow, it hasn't had a release in a while. That's interesting. Um, yeah, so ran into some issues, some complexities, and those kind of drove me crazy to the point where I didn't feel like I could really move forward. But I was doing dumb stuff, but it wasn't obvious that it was. I shouldn't say dumb because I'm sure other people have the same problem, and that sounds like I'm belittling them. And I don't mean to belittle anyone, especially since I've been going through this as well. But I was doing stuff where, like, if we have a. How does this work? Justify? You are not helpful at all. Top left, please. Nope, not gonna happen. Okay. So I'd have like a function, and then this function would call another function, and this function would return something, and this would return some struct. And the issue here is that I would use this struct elsewhere. But as soon as you get into this where like starting to feel like draw IO is not the right tool for this, but um, so like this struct comes up to this function and then go to this parent function and then gets passed into another function, and you start doing stuff like this. This is fine in Go. This is fine in JavaScript. This is fine in any garbage collected language because through escape analysis, the compiler says, hey, this thing has to go on the heap because it is being returned up here. And essentially, the scope that it's created in resolves, but we still need the object because this function down here uses this struct. So, like this. Um, as soon as you run into this problem in Rust, you introduce lifetimes. And lifetimes become, for someone who's not thought about code like that before, a huge pain. After writing Zig for a while and after writing a little bit of C, I understand lifetimes. I understand why they're useful. You have to think about things that way, whether you like it or not, or else you're going to run it. Well, you don't have to. You should, because it's going to help you avoid a whole class of memory issues. Um, but with Rust, I was running into this issue. And just to clarify for anyone who's confused on like how this should work, instead of returning some struct, you get a pointer to that struct, and it probably starts as nil. Keep in mind the scoping. This is the important part. So in like the root level function, the struct is nil. You pass it in here, it initializes it here, and then you pass in that reference here. And now the owner of this is this scope right here, this outer scope. Um, this stuff tripped me up like crazy in Rust, and it for a language that has a really nice compiler, and maybe it's gotten better, it didn't feel like it was helping me identify that this was a problem or helping me understand like what the solution should be. Because to be completely honest, it was just from the compiler's perspective, my lifetimes were wrong. But really, the issue was that I was structuring my code in a way that wasn't a good way to structure your code in Rust. And it's not a good way to structure your code in Zig, and it's not a good way to structure your code in C. But Rust has strong opinions on how you handle that. And because of the lifetime system, it was not happy. I've learned more. I've written Zig since then, a lot of Zig since then, like probably 50,000 plus lines of Zig code, and then some C since then as well. And I understand the problem now, and I understand why this was an issue. I think if I gave Rust another shot, I'd be better at it. But at this point, like I've built up enough Zig knowledge that I think I'd just rather write Zig. That was my long rant. My apologies. You're using Rust for work due to some algorithms that it was required for very peculiar client requirements. I don't know what those are. We can take a look. As long as they're safe for work. Fast and fearless collision detection. I don't know if that's safe for work. Just kidding. Okay, backend for optimization algorithms solving 2D nesting problems. Simple enough. And then what was the other one? I overlay RS. High performance Boolean operations on polygons. Sounds like you're working on some interesting stuff, to be honest with you. You don't like it, just using it for the ecosystem. Had a huge bug recently on the optimization part of the software due to some Rust implicit behavior. I love Zig philosophy every passing day. Explicit over implicit. Yeah, I'm with you. I do think that the more I write Zig, the more some of the explicitness starts to be a bit of a point of friction. Actually, like some of the stuff we were just doing where like I int cast, and it's very obvious that I'm subtracting that int casted value from an I64. So like the compiler should know it's an I64, but I have to explicitly as cast the int cast as an I64. And really, I think really my only gripe with the explicitness of Zig is just how freaking explicit you have to be with casts. Yeah, castings. Yeah. How are we doing on time? Been going for about an hour and a half. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll keep going. But going on what is the question? Let's just out of curiosity run this bad boy again. Yeah, upgrade to 090. Let's see how it turns out. Okay. Sure, it's busted. Uh, okay, it is busted. A little nervous there for a second. I was like, it's running successfully. Okay. Whoa, why does this look like this? Okay, same thing. Okay, cool. Making sure it was ended. Yeah. I I genuinely do not know with this, and I feel like I just need to think on the problem. So I'm gonna just hold off on this for now. And I also don't feel like me researching this might be the most interesting thing to watch. So there's other stuff we can work on. So maybe we do that instead. We don't need the crash dump for Erlang anymore. Quick little detour, I guess, since we're switching projects and language. So if I go to tool, demo, um, this is what I'm going to switch over to. So this is a queue that I'm working on. Um, it's producing and consuming. That's good. Took a second for that to show up. Um, demo topic. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then all the messages right here. Value is not valid JSON. Makes sense. But yeah, so I've got this queue that we started working on, or I've started working on, I guess, and I feel like this might be fun to just kind of walk through the code and explore a little bit. Did you confirm that the release binaries you're using are compatible with the arch of your CPU of your VPS? So my yes, this has been running up until I updated recently. So this was running literally until I updated this morning. I ran an update script and then it stopped working. So it has been working before, and this is just running on my home lab, running on Ubuntu on a x86 B-Link computer, B-Link Mini. So yeah, it is. It has been working up to this point. This is not like a I'm trying to get this working for the first time type situation. It could be weird stuff like that. Yeah, I I just need to think through it and do a little bit more research. This is my Linux experience is not the most deep. I'm definitely learning as I go, and I'm running Arch like for this is Arch Linux that we're working with here. Well, this is Arch Linux, and then the SSH that we're on is that Ubuntu instance. So kind of learning as I go, but like to be completely honest, thinking about things from like the linker perspective and running into this is newer to me. So just need to do some research. Leaning heavy. I was learning Zig heavy too, but stopped because no jobs right now. Back to Rust for the networking and back end. Yeah. I've been thinking about putting out a video, and I probably will, especially reading that. That I feel like it's very common for people to put out videos and blog posts and things of that nature that are like, you need to learn Rust in 2025 or whatever, or 2026, I guess now. I don't know. I think that's really bad. And I've had people ask about Zig and ask if they should learn Zig in 2026 or whatever. And I don't know, man. I can't answer that question, right? Like I don't have the context that they do. If you aren't employed or are looking for a new job, I wouldn't recommend Zig. I wouldn't recommend Rust. I don't even know. I probably would recommend Go. I think my go-tos would be JavaScript or TypeScript and Python. But like I can't put out a video and say that you should learn Zig in 2026 because I don't know who you are. And people put out those videos all the time, and it kind of drives me crazy because it feels like they're giving bad advice. So I've mentored at a code boot camp before. I have some friends who are learning to code for the first time, and there's so much information that gets thrown at them when they search that I would consider bad information. So like a good one again being someone saying there was a video that a friend sent to me and he was like, "Should I learn Rust?" And I was like, "Why do you think you should learn Rust?" He's like, "This guy seems really knowledgeable." And he put out a video saying you should learn Rust in 2026. I'm like, I don't think you should learn Rust. You are struggling with like basic Python at this point. So like, don't, and that's fine. Like it's fine to struggle. You learn through struggles. But the point being that like the gap from Python to Rust is very, very large. And I feel like people who put out those videos that are like, you should learn this thing, they don't know the people they're talking to, and that might be applicable for one person. But yeah, I don't know. All that to say, also conversely, I do think people should learn Zig if it fits into their learning budget, their mental budget, so to speak, because it will help you think about things at a lower level and make you a better programmer, even if you never write Zig professionally. But again, like you said, Joe, I'm gonna assume that's your name. Um, if the employability is an aspect, I don't know if Zig makes much sense at this moment. It's an investment. You go back and forth on Rust. You were using it and liking it a lot for small projects. Then I switched to Go and much prefer the simplicity, which also flopped me back to Zig. I like Rust for small projects too, but as soon as I start getting into weird, long running projects, basically like I go from coding projects to like engineering projects. Rust's lifetime stuff was just a headache. But again, that was years ago. Rust has a lot of infra networking jobs available. That's why I'm back. Yeah, totally makes sense. I know AWS is using Rust. Well, I don't know that for fact, but it sounds like AWS is using Rust pretty heavily. You should learn what you need in a sense, at least for me right now. I'm using what fits my requirements in the job, although I'm betting on Zig because I believe it'll help me solve stuff for work. Yep, I think that's very, very reasonable. I'll turn on Dark Reader so I stop flashbanging you all as well. My apologies. Okay. But you should learn Gleam, and you should learn Odin, and you should learn everything. But just kidding. Um, but they're cool. I definitely like learn whatever makes sense for you. But if you have time, um, exploring new things will make you a better dev, even if you don't use that language like ever. As long as you internalize some of the concepts that the language was built around or the platform was built around and why it is the way it is, I think those are really great skills to have. C sharp or Java, professionally C sharp dev, but use other languages for fun. Yeah, I've worked at a couple Java shops before, but I've never worked at a C sharp shop. So I just don't know how prevalent they are. But my assumption is that they're just as prevalent as Java. Um, yeah, this is going to be a bigger ask than I'm willing to put in for today. So we'll skip the RAF stuff. I don't know what I want to work on. You know what? Let's take a look at the clients. At least here in the Midwest, it's super prevalent. Oh, you too are Midwest? That's neat. I am in the Kentucky area. I feel like a better solution. Okay, so For work, I work pretty heavily with Open API specs. Uh, okay. Um, I work pretty heavily with Open API specs, and they're neat. I like them. They seem really good. But I'm kind of in an interesting spot where the thing that I've built here is not using HTTP. Um, some of the admin stuff is using HTTP, but the main broker itself is using just TCP, which HTTP was way too much overhead. So there's not like an open API spec for TCP. Like OAS does not go that low. And there's, to my knowledge, not an equivalent. So I feel like what would be a better solution is for me to build a TCP spec that is like open API so I can specify things like um, message payloads, heartbeats, things of that nature. Because right now I've kind of got this logic duplicated and I'd love to be able to like scaffold it out based off of the spec. Yeah, this is a bit of a mess. Actually, just out of curiosity, yeah, 600 lines. But conversely, it lets you do stuff like this, which looks pretty decent, I guess. So this is a Go client to consume that message broker or produce to that message broker. I guess for that matter, it does both. So we can run a producer and a consumer. So you can see what the producer looks like. We create a new producer on an address, like so. Can I quick fix this? No. Okay. Range over int. Is that just, when was this introduced? Is this just like 0.10? Let's find out. Oh, 122. Oh. That's nice. Whoa. Yeah, that is nice. Fumped append F. I don't understand how that's the same. Oh, wrong. Fumped.append F. Functions. Why will functions not open? Okay. Append F. Okay, cool. Oh, I don't need all that. Appends format according to the specifier, appends the result to the byte slice and returns the updated slice. Why? Why though? Go lint rule fump append F. Okay, I'll skip that one for now. Yeah, sorry, I've got on a tangent there. How often do people think they saw you somewhere? Because I swear to God, I saw you somewhere. Yeah, I mean, like, if you check your closet, I might be there. Just kidding. Um, I I don't know. I've had a couple people say that I look similar to other people that they've seen. I've had people send me pictures of other people and be like, "I totally thought this was you at like a concert or something." Actually, I think it was a drummer, at playing a gig, and someone sent me a picture of them, and they were like, "This totally looked like you." Um, I don't know. I'm generic, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, and then the consumer looks like so. Have our offset. Yeah, committing the offset. Yep. Okay, makes sense. Um, as another man with beard and glasses, I get that often. Yeah. I mean, here's my uninhibited form. But yeah, I'm also I wear hats when my hair looks bad, so I might be okay now. But your intuition was right. You're gonna chill here for a bit. What was your intuition? That I'm generic? Um, yeah. So we've been bouncing around a little bit. So we were working on some Zig stuff and some lit web components. I hit a bit of a roadblock where I'm actually just not sure what the solution is, and it doesn't seem particularly interesting to stream. So I swapped over to some Gleam stuff, and I was just talking through a little bit of something that I've been building in Gleam. To be honest, no particular project sounds super enthralling at the moment. So I'm kind of open to suggestions if people have things they want to work on or want me to work on or talk through or anything like that. Would be happy to talk more about it. But uh, yeah, you could literally pick. We could scroll through these and you could pick one and let me know. But yeah, actually, we do have a bug with serialization with smells like, and it might be good to fix that. A friend of mine and I realized that there are no non-bloated FOSS software of scan your software versions and check for CVEs. Just throwing stuff out there. Um, yeah, that's so interesting you mentioned that. Let me let me just pull this down and run it, and I'll show you. I don't know if this is actually ever going to go anywhere, but let's hop back up, get clone. No, 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 no. That's not it. Sorry. Please. Thank you. Get clone. Try that again. Connection reset on all of these. Why? Is NPM having issues? I can't imagine. Okay. Is it dev? Okay. Database URL is not set. Sorry, I need just a second. I need to remember exactly. Yeah, you're not helpful at all. Thanks. Exactly what this looked like. This was one of the first things that I tried to vibe code for what it's worth. So I actually don't have much internal knowledge around. I need to be running Docker, don't I? Son of a gun. Okay. Why are you failing? Can't initialize IP tables. Okay. I let's Google this. I don't know what this is, so let's find out. Arch forums, always a good source of knowledge. So big net instead of little net. Arch plus KDE. I can't discern the DE. Sorry for weird English. I'm not native. Yeah, it is Arch plus KDE. And no worries. Your English seems fine to me. Okay. Perhaps IP table or your kernel needs to be upgraded. Interesting. This looks like our issue, right? I don't know. We have quite a few issues here now that I'm actually reading this. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. Okay. It's like that shouldn't have booted up. Yeah, fair. Wow, nothing. Oh, this sounds exactly like what I'm running into. Since upgraded, have issues with Docker. Docker will not start anymore after reboot because the IP tables module. After every reboot of Ubuntu, the IP tables module is not available. Interesting. Do I just need... Did you reboot after a kernel update? Does uname and a match? I think I need to reboot. It might be the issue. Oh, or it could be tail scale related, maybe? Yeah, Tailscale's failing too. Okay, let's just this is probably going to be the most not interesting thing ever, but we are just going to upgrade really quick and then reboot. And thankfully, due to the way I've got this set up, this shouldn't end the stream. It just might be a boring couple of minutes for a few. Yeah, core. Yep. Okay. Incurses, Pac-Man mirror list. Yep. Okay, yeah, sounds good. We're gonna grab them all. Let this run really quick. Is there a donate button somewhere or crypto address? I really appreciate you offering to do that. Um, Donating your time to watch is definitely more than enough, but we do have supers turned on for YouTube. So that's always an option too. You can do a super if you'd really like to, but again, like just donating your time to watch and hang out is more than enough. If you really want a crypto address, I might be able to find one. I haven't done anything with crypto in a very long time, but I think I still have some accounts hanging around. But I only take absolutely garbage cryptocurrency, like Super Mario 3 coin or something similar. Also, now that I'm looking at the super thing, I think I can start a Q&A, answer viewer questions live, start a poll, members only live stream. No, I'm good. Um, hmm. The Q&A thing's neat. I've not done any of those before. I'm kind of curious how that pans out. I was expecting this to have finished already. Little nervous this is still running. I guess we don't have to stop doing what we're doing while that runs, though. But I do have to get Docker running. That will be a problem. I should probably also look at Flatpak updates, too. Play a fun game of does Brad brick his system on stream? Discord, Firefox, Chrome. Whoop, lost a headphone. Ah. Fellow passionate, recognize fellow passionate. Oh, thank you. That means a lot. The donation does too, but honestly, those words, it means a lot. I pride myself on really the craft, and it's nice to hear that. Thank you again. Let's update these flat packs while we're at it. Actually, I think I can heart that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, we still have so many svelte errors with the svelte project. Okay, yay, finished. I'm gonna hit this. I don't think this should cause any issues. It did stop my music. Give me just a second. We'll be right back. A little nervous here. I'll give it just a second. My mic was muted. My apologies. I am a little concerned that I may have bricked my uh, Arch installation just on stream, which feels apropos for an Arch installation, but it is doing something. I know you can't see it all right here on stream because for some reason it's showing less text on stream than it is on my actual laptop monitor that I've unfolded. So got a little bit more information there. I'm just going to let it continue for a few minutes and then should go through hopefully successfully. Okay, it does look like we just have some processes that it looks like System D is waiting to shut down. Not entirely sure which they are. A lot of fprint Ds. Yeah, fprint Ds for sure. Oh, moment of truth. Moment of despair. You know, it's worth mentioning that I had like a nice solid 3 to 4 months with my Arch installation where I had no issues whatsoever. And then last week I ended up bricking my machine due to some updates. And then I hesitate to say that I've bricked it today, but there's potentially a chance. There's always a chance. Oh, root passphrase? Maybe. Maybe. Nice. Love to see that there's an error with HDMI. And for my next trick, I will be I don't know. I got nothing. I'm very happy that I didn't break my system. I feel like I should say something about Nix at this point. And for my next trick, I will get something working with Nix and it not be a tangled mess. Okay, let's try this again. We've updated some stuff. System, CTL status, Docker service. Are you running? Okay, just Docker. Disabled. Inactive, dead. Sudo system CTL start Docker. Started the Docker container engine. Yes. Okay, cool. Great. Okay, you're still here, right? You talked about your open source CVE tool. pm run. Okay, hang on. We got Docker running. I need a database environment variable. Have I hard coded a default? I have not hard coded the default. Database URL is not set. Okay. Let me make this bigger too. My apologies. I forgot that the text shrunk. Yeah. Sorry. I'll make the text bigger. I thank you for the reminder. Okay. Lord have mercy. Do we not have a doc? We do have a Docker compose file. Docker compose up. Great. I'm going to let this run. I'm also going to reboot my music player because life without music is just a little more boring. Connect my headphones. See some errors. That's not good. Sorry, what is this? Error in 18 plus, these Docker images are configured to store database data in a format which is compatible with PG control clusters, specifically using major version specific directory names. Okay. So just PG data. There is no PG data. Volumes, PG data bound to var lib PostgreSQL data. That doesn't exist, right? Drizzle, E to E, node module static. Yeah, I don't see that anywhere. Let's go take a look. Yeah, okay, this is super old and not necessarily related specifically to the Docker piece. Interesting. Docker, Postgres. $17.8. Let's just try that. Great. Okay, so 18 issue then. But this is up and running. Sauron DB is running. Is it just the DB that is running? Let's detach that. Cat Docker compose. Yeah, it is just the DB, so I need to run it locally. Shoot, what would be the database URL for this? It would just be db1 root. Okay, hang on. Postgres database URL format with Docker. Yeah. Okay, Postgres, perfect. We'll just copy this. Come back here. Database URL is equal to, and then let's hop back over. So this will be local. The port is 5432. The host is, it should just be db1, I think. The password is my secret password. And the user is root. Let's give this a shot. Okay. GitHub private key not found. Yeah. Lord have mercy. Okay, yeah, we're probably not going to get to this today because I'm going to have to like actually get it reworking. But the idea here is essentially it is a little open source. Well, it's not open source. It's very closed source right now, but it might be open source. But it is essentially a web app that is Brad Seipert / Sauron. The name's a little spooky. Oh, we're in Chrome, aren't we? It's Firefox. Yeah, much better. But yeah, the idea here is that Sauron is essentially a little well, again, not open source yet, but a little web app that connects to GitHub and does some parsing of your packages. So like your package JSON, your pub.dev on Dart, your Go mod, things of that nature, and helps you identify if there are any vulnerabilities by checking against a couple different things. So we have like this vulnerability scanner here, and it grabs your dependencies and then actually does queries against some APIs to determine whether there are known vulnerabilities, including like GitHub's vulnerability database and then OSV as well. So you can see there that there's a reference to OSV. But yeah, that's kind of what it does. There's a couple other things. I thought I was going to make this into like an actual paid product. My goal was to find something that fits into a home for the software lifecycle. And what I mean by that is like I want I worked as an application architect, a lead application architect for a Fortune something company. I don't know exactly what their Fortune number is or what category they fall into, but they're Fortune. Um, and some of the outcome of this was basically based off of some things that I saw them struggling with, and that basically boiled down to like change management, understanding like what features cross communicated across services, managing security for those. Basically, it was a tool to operationalize the stuff that people run, um, and help give them operational insights. So the goal was to think about it from three different perspectives: the perspective of an engineer, the perspective of an architect, and the perspective of a CTO or equivalent. So an engineer focused on their pieces of code that they're working on, their services. The architect was more focused on like making sure that, you know, the service, like clear communication between the services was outlined and something that could be easily recorded and modified and kept up to date. And then, you know, being able to generate diagrams based off of like service structure was part of the goal. And then from the CTO perspective, focusing on change management, focusing on putting rules in place that say like, hey, um, we can't have any known vulnerability that is critical or high linger for more than 7 days or whatever. So some rule sets that can be put in place, and then, you know, reports based off of that, essentially giving people a high level overview of like the health of their applications in a large gamut. But yeah, it doesn't it doesn't currently run, so I need to get that fixed at some point, and then maybe I'll do another stream or demo or video or something, and we can talk about that. I just updated these. Uh, Connected, maybe Ghost. New album, please. Perfect, thank you. Yeah, we'll go here. Maybe. There we go. But yeah, that's the idea of Sauron, which is oddly kind of creepily named and maybe not the best. But the idea was keeping an eye on technology. Um, but yeah, that's something that I need to figure out if I want to continue to work on or what the long term home for that is. And if I don't continue to work on it, I'll open source it and then maybe someone else can run with it. But yeah, Uppies is like it needs to be finished. That's another thing. We could pick some candy from the V programming language and make some fixes there. I don't need this anymore. This is Megan's. Let me toss this. It's a fork that I ended up doing nothing with. That's definitely not it. Like, what's the safest way for me to do this without accidentally exposing some security codes? Um, we'll just come back and delete this later. I also have a freaking private key or a JWT secret that I need to roll as well. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what to work on, to be honest. What did I think of Odin? I was so like I was unnecessarily hesitant to write Odin, but actually after building with it, I was really happy with it. So we can take a look at that code. That might be a short, fun little exercise. I ended up enjoying it enough that I plan to build more with Odin, but I'm probably mostly going to do graphical stuff. So I have this idea from that's inspired by one of the people in the Code with Cyber Discord, and he built this little like it's like a worm that sits at the bottom of your screen and moves across the screen and says positive affirmations and other fun little things. I kind of just want to make a desktop Tamagotchi. So I feel like that would be a fun thing to do in Odin. But if you know Go, this is just Go, like almost to a T. The only thing that doesn't feel like Go is this piece right here, but this entire file basically feels like Go, which is nice. Like I know Go and Go is really simple, so the fact that Odin feels very, very similar is really, really nice. The IO stuff very, very similar here as well. You can see, returning and not necessarily an error, but an indication of whether this was or wasn't successful. Very, very Go like as well. And then the byte slice of data that we get from reading a file. On the This is an ELF parser, so it parses files and just gives some ELF information about them. So there's some kind of not particularly interesting stuff here, like a bunch of constants. Pack structs come in clutch here, specifically for things like the padding here and the magic number. And then the way that those are used, you'll be able to see and parse here in just a second, and it actually works out really, really well. But we can do these casts because the structs are packed like this. So I'm just able to do a direct cast to the elf headers from the data subslice. And then we check to make sure the magic number matches. And if it doesn't, then it's, not elf. Checking the class, checking the number format, things of that nature. But yeah, Odin was really, really nice. I don't, to be completely honest, I don't know why I was so hesitant. I think to me, it felt like it was trying to solve similar problems as Zig. That's not true. Let me rephrase that. To me, a lot of the people that commented on any of my Zig stuff were suggesting Odin, and the way it was suggested made it sound like it was an alternative to Zig. I don't see it as an alternative to Zig anymore because when I looked at Odin's documentation, I was like, I would rather write Zig. But I don't see it as an alternative to Zig anymore, to be completely honest. I see this as a really simple but powerful low level language that has wings when it comes to graphics programming. So if you haven't looked at their website at all, they have this is all cool and all that fun stuff. This right here. So Odin comes with high quality packages out of the box in its core library and official libraries for all major graphics APIs, including OpenGL, Vulkan, Direct 3D11, Direct 3D12, Metal, WGPU, WebGL 1 and 2. There's additionally officially maintained bindings for popular libraries such as SDL2, GLFW, Raylib, love Raylib, Micro UI, Mini Audio, and more in its vendor library. These are just vendored in. Like you just have access to these. You don't have to worry about all the pain of writing those bindings or anything like that. Um, it's nice. So yeah, I don't know. I need to actually look at my options here and figure out what's going to be best for my little desktop Tamagotchi. But I want like a transparent background, windowless. I just want it to set in like the bottom corner of my monitor, and me be able to interact with it throughout the day. Actually, be nice if I could throw a Pomodoro timer in it too, and just run it on my work laptop, and make it remind me to take a break every now and again. Hey rats, great to see you. Yeah, Odin and Zig are both C alternatives, but they do move in pretty different directions. I totally agree. I think that's a really great assessment. Um, it ultimately boils down to the fact that like there is significant overlap in the things that they can solve, but they take two very, very different approaches, and I think that because they take different approaches, are better fits for different things. Like you can do graphic stuff in Zig. We did the Space Invaders stuff in Zig. I wrote the Space Invaders stuff in Zig. You all have followed the tutorial, and I've seen way more Space Invaders clones in Zig than I ever thought I would have, which is great. But yeah, I think that like if I were to look at it again, I think Odin. I would probably like if I was building something like that without focusing on teaching. I would probably just grab Odin. It seems nice and really straightforward for any of that. What is micro UI? Love it. Okay. Little windows. Nice. Oh, browser demo. We got some WASM. We do have some WASM. Oh, okay. Neat. Yeah, this is cool. I might build something with this too. Star this. Less friction with the compiler. Ain't that the truth? I feel like Zig's compiler is only outclassed by Rust's in terms of friction. But yeah, also while we're talking about languages, another one that I think is actually really cool. Where you at? Where you at? You're in here. Don't hide from me. Page 2 maybe? Oh, these are contributions. I don't want contributions. I want my repos. Where are you at? Bam, D. Yeah. What an interesting little language. I'll shout out my first impressions playlist because if you haven't seen them, they might be fun if you like exploring languages. But it's literally me taking a language and trying it for the first time. I might have written like a hello world beforehand or some really basic stuff, and I've probably glossed through the documentation. But just to make good use of your time and mine, so I don't have to edit like 12 hours of content, and it's just a couple instead. But yeah, I build something, and I have really taken a liking to coding challenges.fyi for some inspiration on what I build. Actually, I think the elf, no, the elf stuff was not from this. But there's a password manager, so it's a password manager. So I followed this challenge, right? And it's build your own password manager. It's not anything crazy, but you can create a vault, you can sign in, you can create a password record within a vault and retrieve a password record. Um, so you get something like this, and you can, store passwords and they're encrypted and all sorts of fun stuff. They guide you through it a little bit, but the point being that I wrote this in D and actually had a really great time. And several people commented on the video and were like, "You can do um, this." So this libsodium, I wrote bindings for libsodium. Apparently, you can just generate these now. You've been able to for a while, but it wasn't very clear in their documentation that you could do this. So like, not needing to write this by hand is nice. Um, a low-ish level language that has support for stuff like this is always nice to see. The way it works is a little bit of a pain because um, essentially it makes autocomplete kind of a nightmare. Like you can't just autocomplete these because it's syntactic sugar for essentially wrapping records in like another function call. But yeah, there's some gripes that I have about the language, but also I was like really pleasantly surprised with D in general. Yeah. Okay, where were we? Yep, that makes sense. I've got a little bit of time left, and then I'm gonna grab lunch. But it is, I'm gonna work on some SvelteKit issues for Sprutia. I know this probably isn't the most interesting thing. We haven't really talked about Sprutia, but it's another project that I have. Um, if you're curious, you can find more at sprutia.com, and I can talk a little bit about it while it's running. Uh, this is filler content, so don't get too caught up on like any of this because this is not real at this point. But I hope that one day I'll have these great recommendations like that. But yeah, the idea here is essentially just as we get more and more AI focused as a society, I think it becomes more and more important for us to keep the people as the number one priority. And what I really want to do, one thing that's really been helpful for me is making good use of my one on one meetings. For the first 2 years of my career, I kind of just treated them as like status updates and didn't actually do much with them and didn't have agendas going into them. And I kind of just depended on my manager to talk about things and tell me if I was doing okay or doing poorly. Um, flipping the script on that and actually going in with an agenda and like really taking charge of that meeting has been one of the best things for my career. And I don't think enough people do that. So I wanted to put together a tool to help organizations run better one-on-ones and also help make sure that people were getting the most out of their one-on-ones because they should be really, really useful. So yeah, that's this. It's maybe something one day that like people might pay for. I know I do a lot of open source stuff, and me asking for a paid product is very out of my wheelhouse. But I think it's a great thing, and to be completely honest, I think that it's if I do it right, it's worth the price that I would ask for it. So I'm working on that, but it's written in Svelte, and to be honest, I've been churning away Svelte and just neglecting uh, the Svelte check errors that I've been running into. So I figure maybe we could just crack some of these and knock them out. Again, I know if you're here for Zig or you're here for literally anything interesting, this probably isn't going to be the most interesting, um, but I do appreciate you just hanging out in general as well. 472. And also, like, you guys are here. I can do this on my own time. If you have questions or you want to talk about anything, I'm happy to do that too. Can I just do that? Oh, that feels bad, but it does fix the error for now. It's optional, so that should be undefined and not null. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, it feels a little bad, but it fixes the issue at least for now. Okay, meetings. Report ID. Okay. Can you have a meeting without a direct report ID? Should that be nullable? I don't think it should. But I'm not convinced yet. So maybe we come back to that. I'll think through that a little bit more. Okay, what is the issue here? Suggestion applied never? This isn't a thing. Oh, wait, yeah, it is. On suggestion applied. Whoa. What is our issue here? Not assignable to parameter of type never. Why is it never? Oops. I am truly not sure. Components can dispatch events by creating a dispatcher when they're initialized. So we create an event dispatcher. Okay, so we need to be dispatching then, right? Suggestion applied. If you're planning an eventual migration to Svelte 5, use callback props instead. Okay. I am doing that. Also, is this not Svelte 5 docs? What are we looking at? I'm so confused. Why are we not on Svelte 5 docs? Weird. Okay. Um let's just table that one to you for now. So okay. ID is missing in form field. Let's fix that. Question. ID category. Open. Oof. Okay. These are going to be a pain to fix. I feel like, okay, data meeting, direct report ID. I do feel like direct report ID. Okay, this will have to be not null. There's no way it wouldn't be. That makes sense. Now the question is, how quickly does Felt catch up on that and realize that that is now resolved? Oh, this is the proxy page server, so that's not helpful at all. Yeah, cool. That picked up pretty quick. Oh, what is this type? Property recent topics does not exist on user context, organization. Okay. What else do we have? Fixed a bunch of the meetings ones. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This is interesting. Argument of type is not assignable. Okay, let's just Google that. Svelte on argument of type is not assignable to never. Oh, it's deprecated in favor of explicit callback properties. That makes so much sense. Downside to swapping between languages and frameworks and stuff like left and right is it's often really easy to forget about specific things and the specific state of things with these tools. Like part of me definitely wishes that um, I had the willpower to not explore a bunch of new stuff and would just stick with stuff that is working for me. But that's not who I am. So the consequences of that is that I end up getting into situations where I would just um, rather deal with the consequences of shifting between languages and frameworks left and right than why is this all lowercase? Oh Lord. Okay. Okay, cool. Quick little fix. Yeah, great. Looks much better. Okay, where else are we using on? Agenda generated. So we can just change this to on agenda generated. It'll be an event. I don't know what type of event, but head over here, change this to on agenda generated. Agenda. Yeah, we don't need to dispatch this. Instead, we can just on agenda. Ah, we need to pull it out. Okay. Okay. And we shouldn't be using event dispatchers anymore. So where are we doing that? Right here. So we can do that, swap this over. Do we know what type these are? No. Okay. Any more dispatching? Nope. Excuse me. On error. So something like that. We need to hop back over here and change this to be on This is... Should we bubble up the whole error? Yeah, we probably should bubble up the whole error, actually, shouldn't we? Capital E, okay. It's not lost on me that I started doing some Svelte stuff and then everyone got quiet. Actually, I'm actually curious if people are still here. Claims that the concurrent viewer count is... Come on, you got this. Oh no, did it stop? No, it didn't stop. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Concurrent viewer count has gone down, but that's all right. Just here to co-work and hang out. Okay, so this actually should be the error that we're returning. The type of this is an error. Oh, really? Did not realize that. Oh, I guess you can throw anything in JavaScript, can't you? It doesn't necessarily have to be an error. Listening while fixing LSP bugs. Yeah, there's no obligation to respond or engage in chat. It's just sometimes it's helpful for me just to realize how many people are actually still here. Because again, starting to get a little hungry, but if we have people who are hanging out, I don't really want to leave just yet. And that's, yeah, totally fine. I appreciate people hanging out too, just in general. So again, no obligation ever. Smart agenda. On add items, on add items. Okay. Okay, what else we got? Also define the standard line clamp. Okay, sure. One thing I really do like about Svelte is the Svelte check is really, really nice in helping you identify accessibility issues and all sorts of little things, like the fact that it recognized that I was using WebKit line clamp and I need to use line clamp as well, and not just the WebKit specific version. Little things like that are nice that it catches. Like this is another example. I've got this goal card component, and buttons and links should either contain text or have an ARIA label or labeled by attribute. Yep, totally makes sense because it's just an SVG, and for someone who is vision impaired, that's not helpful at all. So we got a button here. There's our SVG. We can just put, whoa. We can just put a span here and a class, and it's SR only for screen reader only. And then some text will be update progress. Same thing down here. Accessibility is interesting too, because like a lot of times it's just a little bit extra, like a little bit extra work to make sure that things are accessible. Um, but like if you build something cool, right, you want everyone to be able to use it. You don't want just, people with no impairments or well, yeah, no impairments really to be able to access it. Like it doesn't make sense to I don't know, I guess like it feels weird to go like 90% of the way and then be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, this isn't built for you because you use a screen reader or something of that nature." It just feels weird. And again, Svelte makes it nice and easy to catch that stuff and deal with it pretty early. Ooh, that's not great. A form label must be associated with a control. Okay. Ooh, I don't know how to fix that one off the top of my head. Elements with the menu interactive role must have a tab index value. I mean, it makes sense that we would just add a tab index, but I don't know what the value needs to be per se. Avoid tab index values above 0. Okay. There's no reason for that to be a div. Close notifications. Okay. That should be a button as well. Yeah, that fixes like 3 of those. Unused CSS selector. Okay. 269. Some stories issues, some more stories issues. Less worried about those at the moment. Actually, a lot of stories issues. Okay. 101 errors. Let's see what we're down to. I need to find some copyright-free lo-fi that we can listen to together. I guess the counterpoint there would be you can listen to your own music and then you don't have to listen to whatever I'm choosing to listen to for us, which maybe is better. Down to 92, it feels a little better. Unnecessary comment now. Feels good. Ooh, data.organization should not possibly be null. Analytics. Server. 658. 658. All right, it's about 1 o'clock here, and I am getting hungry, so I am gonna call the stream for here. So thank you so much for hanging out. I always appreciate it, and hopefully it was a good experience for you as well. Thanks, and have a great one.